Hello again, Dave.
Hello again, Matt. Excuse me. Oh, got a frog in my throat for some reason. Um, okay, next one is Jason Trimmer. Hello, Jason. Jason did the e-books, curated the e-books of Cerebus art exhibit at St. Bonaventure University back in 2005, I believe it was. So, hello again, Jason. Hi, Matt. For the past couple of years, I haven't been able to shake the thought that President Biden looks like Dave's depiction of Mary Hemingway in Form and Void. Is it just me? Do either of you see it? Do you see it?
Kinda, maybe. Depending on the image and depending on, you know, I'm just making a note to get a picture of Biden and then go through Form and Void and grab some images of Mary and, we can do a side by side in the videos.
Here's an idea. Here's an idea. Yeah, I think, Jason, what you're referring to, and it is something that I've noticed. Again, I don't have television and haven't had television since 2001. So all of my experiences of President Biden are just photos in the newspaper, which aren't the best quality photos in any situation. But definitely the thing that I think you're referring to, and that I can definitely see in my mind's eye when I picture news photos of President Biden, is what I would call this sort of white radiance thing that Mary Hemingway had white hair. I think most of the period of time that she was married to Ernest Hemingway, or it was blonde hair, which was dyed so bright that it might as well have been white, and consequently you get this sort of glow effect, depending on the texture of the hair. And I think this is true of President Biden and Mary Hemingway, that the texture of the hair is that it becomes, and the whiteness of the skin doesn't differentiate itself. It's very hard to tell, looking at either of them, okay, where does the hair start and where does the skin end? Because it's just so bright, and because of the texture of the hair, there's a radiance to the hair that then makes it look as if the person themselves have a kind of radiance. And also there's a quality I would describe as brutalized defiance, for want of another term, where the eyes become narrowed and rather unfocused, because there's just this relentless quality to the person. In Mary Hemingway's case, in the face of Ernest Hemingway's dominance, Ernest is going to dominate, but I will always be defiant. There will always be a sharp distinction between Mary Hemingway and Ernest Hemingway, and that's never going to be eliminated. And in President Biden's case, man, you talk about somebody who took the blows and kept going relentlessly, driving towards president, and driving towards becoming a senator, and was never really well thought of, by Democrats. If you had to say before 2020, who could possibly become president of the United States or a long-serving senator, Joe Biden would be very, very low on your list. My own theory is that Bill Clinton talked Barack Obama into making Joe Biden vice president to make sure that there would be no competition for Hillary in 2016. And it's like the perfect candidate was Joe Biden. Nobody's going to look at Vice President Biden and say, well, he was vice president, so he's the natural president now. So yes, I can see physically and metaphysically what it is that you're talking about. And then Jason writes, that got me thinking, if Dave was working on Cerebus today, is there a contemporary political or literary figure he thinks would be ripe to lampoon? Either because their features would make for a funny caricature or because their speech patterns would lend themselves to his lettering style. And then he adds, hard mode, no Donald Trump, who is basically Cerebus anyway, with a question mark. Many people tell me I'm the best prime minister. That's an impossible question for me to answer because I haven't had television since 2001. So, when I was starting to make use of the technology for exactly that thing, there's somebody that I want to do, and I want to do them accurately. The Three Stooges, having VHS tapes of Three Stooges shorts and being able to play them and watch them frame by frame, there's an idiosyncratic Mull Howard body posture and movement. What does that look like frame by frame, and which one of those am I going to pick for this panel here to do the most iconic Mull Howard? I still have never heard Donald Trump's voice, which I'm sure there's a number of people who envy me that. I still haven't seen how Donald Trump moves just as an iconic figure. I think I would probably have to do Donald Trump. I can't think of anybody who has so dominated his society, having attained to the presidency. And I just because I've only seen still photos of him and read his tweets, which I guess are called X's now. I don't get a mental picture, but it would be somebody that dominant and somebody that unpresidential in the conventional sense of president. Presidents are supposed to smile like absolute fools, and it's very, very rare that you see any image of Donald Trump smiling. I did see a photo in the newspaper a couple of weeks back where it was him holding up the hand of one of his picked candidates and celebrating his victory. That's the only time that I've seen a picture of Donald Trump smiling. And yet he's also the most incredibly successful president in terms of guy never ran for elected office anywhere, started with president of the United States. Something is up there. And it would be interesting, since he was president of the United States, to have an assistant, okay, go on YouTube and find me a full figure of Donald Trump moving, like walking into a meeting or whatever else. The only requirement I've got to have is it's got to be from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. I gotta know how his body works. The same as I was doing with Mo Howard, and to be able to watch that frame by frame and go, okay, there's only one Donald Trump, so odds are he moves physically like no other human being on the planet, just because he has this effect on people. Giant negative effect, giant positive effect. And I've got to know how he works. It would be in terms of like apart from the speech patterns, the physical Donald Trump. I think one of the things I found most interesting about him was also the unpresidential quality of "you're fired." It was anytime anybody in his cabinet wasn't, or his chief of staff or whoever it was, wasn't living up to Donald Trump's mental image of who they're supposed to be, his automatic reaction was, "you're fired," which was the complete opposite of, again, the presidential approach, where you don't want cabinet secretaries resigning because it makes it look like you made bad choices, and we don't want a president who makes bad choices. So the fewer resignations you have in the course of your administration, the better your presidency is going to be. It's like Donald Trump took the opposite tack. It's like these people are lined up down the hall. They're lined up in every direction, just more than willing to jump into the place of whoever else it was. I got my pick of hundreds and hundreds of guys that if I don't like the Secretary of State, hey, you're fired. And you're now the Secretary of State. And you're going to have about 3 weeks to prove to me that you're Donald Trump's Secretary of State. And if you're not, you're fired. So that's as specific as I can be on that. I mean, it's like win, lose, or draw with Donald Trump. There's only one of them, and it would be very interesting if Cerebus was still going to say, okay, I've got to get him physically, and this is, I've got YouTube to pick for on that, and just say, Rolly, here's what I'm looking for. Find me footage of Donald Trump, full figure, coming toward the camera, going sideways. Doesn't matter as long as I can see how his body moves and how the suit responds to how his body moves. He's very idiosyncratic, and that would be the physical side of it. And then just you're fired would be, what does it sound like when Donald Trump says you're fired? I never watched The Apprentice, so I have no idea. But it would be interesting to break that down into Dave Sim lettering. What is Donald Trump's "you're fired" look like, as opposed to "you're fired" in a general sense?
I mean, the best way to describe the way Trump talks and moves is Groucho Marx without the humor.
Really?
I mean, he's got this. I don't like watching Trump just because he's Trump, and he's graded on my. I figured out why I've always kind of had an aversion to him is because I was going through a box of old Mad magazines and Cracked magazines, and apparently the guys at Cracked made a joke about Trump in like every issue I own. And so it
really?
just I picked up on that Trump guy, there's one where their Cracked reporter is interviewing a parody of Trump and bringing up real world, hey, this is what's going on with this guy, and pointing out that, it's kind of ridiculous that he divorced his wife, married his mistress, but his wife still helps run the company. And
Right.
and so but whenever he's in an interview, it's, someone will ask him a question, and it's a presidential style question of, it's kind of a softball. We're gently lobbing it to you. This is we're setting you up so you can talk about your policy initiative, whatever. And he would just, like, either he would be nailing jello where, you're asking him a simple yes no question and he won't give an answer, or he'd be like a dog with a chew toy where you ask him a simple question and he goes off on a weird tangent, and, is rabidly attacking whatever weird tangent he brought up. And it's like, okay, but the question was, and you watch
Right.
enough interviews with him
Right.
that after about the third one, you're like, anybody can do this. It's just either I won't answer the question, or I will divert the question to whatever I'm grinding against right now.
Which is interesting. Yeah, you get that. I get that in the newspapers as well, where it's not only did he not answer the question, not only did he go off on an oblique angle, there's no way to determine the connective tissue. Why did that steer him over in that direction? What is Donald Trump seeing in that question that says, "Oh, this is how I'm going to answer that one," which is a kind of mystique as well. It's like you say, there's nobody who's going to make Donald Trump into Donald Trump because what you think is a softball question, and here, Mr. President, I'm just trying to help you. It's like, now I have absolutely no idea what to say. I'm trying to help, and you've answered that question in such a way that I don't even know how to get back to my question.
I mean, if service was continuing and if you introduced Donald Trump, it would have to be one of these. It would be couldn't become a reoccurring character, because then the book would be about that character. It would have to very much be a Service rides into the town, meets this guy, and at the end of the issue, he rides out of town and never goes back.
Right.
I mean, when you were reading Jason's question, I'm going, okay, who as a fan would I have liked to have seen? And honestly, a post-car accident Stephen King, I think, would have been a really interesting character to introduce. And, because the way Stephen King moves since the accident, because he broke his hip and broke ribs and stuff, he moves different than he used to. And he was a big, tall, lanky guy to begin with. So now he's a big, tall, goofy-looking, lanky guy when he walks. And I could, there's the Maine accent, so you'd have fun lettering that.
That would be good. Yes.
And he's been photographed a couple million times, so you could, really lean into the latter days, last day photorealism of the character. I mean, I'm like, that could be cool. I mean, let's be honest, Dave. As the guy who did 26 issues of Glamour Puss, any cute pop singer probably could have made it into the book for pages and pages and pages, and Dave wouldn't have complained.
But we know that's a different thing entirely. No, if you're going to be using these skills, again, you and Jason, and I think every service fan have mental images of not just like, I want to see Dave riff on this character, on this actual person, not just because of how she looks, but because of, okay, what does Dave Sims see when he looks at Jimmy Carter? What does Dave Sims see when he looks at Margaret Thatcher? And it definitely narrowed itself frequently by Okay, and I'm not just going to do this to go, look at how ridiculous this person is. It's like, no, all prominent people definitely have an easy, ridiculous side to parody, but they also have how they see themselves and how the people who admire them see them. And that was definitely one of in the modern terms, skill sets that I developed in Cerebus in myself was, no, it's got to be a balance here. You can't just be going, ha ha, you're ridiculous, and you can't be going, okay, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. But you got to have both of those elements in there.